Good evening, rock fans. This is Brad.
I'm Amy.
This is Mikey B.
And we are joined by Andy Timmons.
Hello. It's been
There you go. Mikey has been giddy as a schoolgirl for about 20 minutes now. So
it's good to be a schoolgirl. I've been accused of being a 14-year-old girl when I go and I stalk Paul McCartney at his shows trying to meet him. Like, you turn into a 14-year-old girl? Yes, I do. I don't think that's a bad. That's not a bad thing.
Never a bad thing. Never a bad thing.
In a good way.
In a good way. Did you ever accomplish your task?
No, I have yet to meet Paul. I've gotten to hang with Ringo a few times. I stalked him for many years too. It'd be going to shows and, you might know somebody in security or even know somebody playing in the band. But, okay, so meeting a Beatle is not easy because these poor guys, man, since they were in their early 20s, they've had the whole world trying to get at them, right? And usually anybody that works with them, part of their, even if it's not a spoken job description, it's like, just keep people from bugging the boss. They get enough of that. So working with Olivia Newton-John for many years, that was kind of just something you just didn't want to add to the pressure of this person being a world-renowned star. But Ringo couldn't have been any more cool or any more Beatle-like than you would imagine. Getting to hang with him just briefly, but for a few times. First was just kind of a fluke thing that did happen at one of the gigs that I went to. But then now that Steve Lukather is in his all-star band, and Steve's a longtime friend of mine, one of my biggest heroes, but he's also become a dear friend. So he's kind of had me out a couple times to, introduce me to Ringo for a minute. And we've had some really amazing exchanges. Just he's a sweet man, and every bit as witty. And even now that he's in his 80s, he's just still that sharp Liverpudlian wit that you see in all the old Beatle movies and all the interviews, one of the times I was with it, I got to meet him backstage. I was at the Nokia here in Dallas, and my friend Sylvia Villarreal, she's a longtime friend of mine here in town. Has been a rep for Atlantic and Warner Brothers Records for many, many, many years. So we were at the show together, and here comes Steve Lukather and Ringo backstage walking towards us, and Ringo goes right for Sylvia. She's a pretty lady, and so goes up, he gives her a big hug and says hello, and he looks at me and I go, I get it. She's a lot prettier. And then he comes, oh, no, I don't know. You've got a nice little scruffy beard there. You got nice hair, gives me a big hug. And anyway, so my brush with greatness. Yeah, one day I would love to meet Paul. So he is coming to Fort Worth, and I'm actually also flying to Seattle to see him. So you never know. I might get lucky one day. Okay. Even if not, though, just to be able to go and be in the presence of the guy, one of the guys that created this incredible music that for me, especially, I've just lived with it since day one. I was born the year that they kind of hit in '63. So yeah, it's good Lord.
Well, you did a inspired
fanboy, fangirl. I'm all of the above.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Olivia Newton-John. I told my wife that last night, and her eyes lit up. She's like, "Oh my gosh, ONJ!"
Yeah. So I mean, that was my wife's biggest idol when she was a little girl. She dressed up as Sandy, the naughty Sandy. She would dress up as her for Halloween and stuff. And so when my wife and I have been married 25 years now, but when we first met, I hadn't even seen Grease. I was a fan of Olivia's because when Have You Never Been Mellow came out, whatever it was, 73, I was 10 years old, and that voice, oh my gosh, she just fell in love even without knowing what she looked like. But long story short, she took me to see Grease when it was in the theater. They had re-released it at one point, and I said, this is a really wonderful film. I get why it survived all these years and there's so many fans. But within like a couple of years, it was one day I was in Austin working on a record with Sarah Hickman, and I had a voicemail. Back then it was the answering machine with the cassette tape. It was like, Andy, it's Simon Phillips. Do you fancy working with Olivia Newton-John? Give me a call. And so she had been retired. She had breast cancer in the early 90s and retired from touring and stayed in Australia to take care of her young daughter. But in the late 90s, she kind of got out and did a few gigs in Australia. So was coming to America to do a tour, but one of the guitar players for her band couldn't make it. It was the same band as the John Farnham band, who's a big star over there, like the Springsteen of Australia. So they're coming over. Brett Garza was the guitar player, couldn't make it. So I got the gig just from Simon recommending me. I was doing a lot of solo work with Simon in his band. And Olivia and Toto, who he was still playing with at the time, had the same manager. So was just one of those things. Hey, who knows somebody that can do this gig? So, and that lets, even though it was kind of a fluke thing, like, you know, here I am coming out of a, you know, an 80s hair band, and I'm playing this fusion with Simon Phillips. I've got my instrumental Satriani Vai, Eric Johnson-y sounding rock stuff, and here comes Olivia. And it turned into 15 years of one of my favorite relationships I've ever had, you know. So I was her that first year I was just her guitar player, but then they made me the band leader, and I got to help form the band, a US based group around her. And it was just kind of perfect because she'd get out and do 2-3 weeks, you know, every now and then. But some really, really great tours. We played all over. We went to Japan many times, in Southeast Asia, and a bunch all over Canada, and of course America, and some in South America as well. But you know, everybody would always ask, you know, what's she really like? You know, it's kind of better than you think. It's like, she seems like this amazing, incredible, funny, pretty woman, and it's better than that. She's just a really, really kind soul, but really hard worker, man. She's a badass.
That's awesome.
You know, her time and her voice, you know, just one of the all-time greats. I'm really proud of that time together. Great. And there were bands along the time, like more, you know, well-known rock bands that would offer me gigs, and I'm like, I'm pretty happy where I'm at. I mean, you know, especially when my son Alex was born in 2004. And so around that time, you know, and I'm 40 at that point, 40, 41. And I'd done quite a bit of stuff already. And I was, you know, if I was going to be away from home, it had to be not for a long period of time, because I was determined not to miss my son growing up. I didn't want to be that dad that was always on tour and just missed it. Yeah. So that was one thing, but also I wanted, if I'm going to be away, I better be with people I really love to be with. And so if it was my group, great. Sometimes with Simon Phillips, and then Olivia, you know, starting at the top, you know, I loved her. But we had a really great band around her that all had the same mutual respect for the music, for her, and they were just good people, you know, and people that I love to be with. So I felt very fortunate to have had that in my life, you know.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. So I want to point out something. I was reading up, doing my homework.
Homework? I didn't know it was homework.
Right?
Was I supposed to do some homework? Wait a minute.
Going way back to Evansville, Indiana here.
A dog ate my homework, man. Oh yeah, Evansville. That's my home. I call that my hometown for sure, because that's nice. That's where I grew up.
You had a quote in here that I kind of took a step back, because I don't normally hear this, especially out of younger musicians. You said early on you realized that making it in a rock band was a long shot, and you kind of had your eye on that session musician side of things. So kind of walk me through that, because it seems like, you know, when I was 13 and trying to play guitar, I was going to be the next, you know, whoever. So
you know what's weird is that I don't ever remember, though, when I was 13, that's when I did my first gig. It was my own 8th grade graduation dance, which, just talk about horrifying, you know, playing for the first time in front of everybody you've grown up with for 8 years, you know.
Is that with Taylor Bay, or was that?
No, that was with the drummer that became the drummer in Taylor Bay. So it was, I was with that drummer for about 7 years, but that first gig, you know, he'd gotten the gig somehow to play this dance. And he was, Glenn Gore is the drummer's name, and he was the same age as my brother Brian. He was 4 years older than me. So Glenn would have been, you know, 17. So at that point, between 17 and 13, that's like, you know, eons of time, you know, in between. But my brother's like, yeah, my little brother sounded pretty good in there. And because I'm playing Nugent and Kiss and Rush, and I'm playing along with the records, and so he just said, yeah, you should give my brother a try. And the bass player named Jimmy Gaines. So it was a power trio, and nobody really sang. Jimmy sang a little bit, but the set was like 2112 and Stranglehold, and, you know, a bunch of Foghat and you know, Son of a Poor Man, or Keep Pushing by REO. But so that turned into, you know, what became Taylor Bay, which was then with Matt Clark and Lita Nance and Danny DeShields, Randy Dunn, and Paula Pierce. And it kind of turned into more of a, it was a really interesting bunch of influences, from Steely Dan to my pop, you know, heavy rock sensibilities. And we had another guitar player that was kind of in the Southern stuff, and these two girls that sang just phenomenally well. So there's kind of a Heart meets Steely Dan kind of thing happening. And so, but, you know, even at that point, so I talk about it when I was about 16, it just seemed like Fantasyland making it, you know, even though that band, actually, by the time I was 18, 19, we nearly got signed. We had I was sending out tapes to all the record labels. I was hustling for a shy Indiana kid. I was getting the
Way to do it.
names and addresses of from the local radio station, KC 103, Dave Lyons and Josh McKay, Mike Sanders would give us the names of their reps. And so I'm sending tapes to Jason Flom and Michael Barrickman and high up, A&R guys that signed a lot of great bands. And they were responding. It was usually unsolicited stuff, not from a manager or from a lawyer. You wouldn't have a chance, but they were listening to this stuff. But even before then, it was like, I was reading Guitar Player magazine about Tommy Tedesco and not Robin Ford, but Larry Carlton and Steve Lukather and guys like this. So the guys that were becoming heroes to me was like, oh man, they can do studio work, and so I wasn't reliant on a band. It's like, if I just work hard enough and I can, be able to play a lot of different styles of music and read music. So at that point I was all self-taught. So at 16, I found a local teacher, Ron Pritchett, that began, teaching me how to read simple, single note melodies. But I was already, again, at 16, I'm professional already and gigging a bunch, and I'm a fairly good player. And so he just happened to be a really great jazz musician. He was a big Barney Kessel fan and played exactly like that. So he's just started teaching me about jazz. I said, man, I love this. It's guitar, and how the hell these guys know what to do, how to play over all these chords, So that kind of began my journey of just wanting to grow as a musician, learning to read, which I can still do. I never got proficient, and some guys can just set down anything and read it right down. I read well enough to get by, and I can study it and then play it. So then in my first 2 years of college, I was a classical major. The local university offered that as a program. But of course, my heart was in the electric guitar. So then I heard about the University of Miami, where the Dixie Dregs had formed. And Pat Metheny had been for a while. And I was a big Pat Metheny fan at this point.
Yeah.
So that continued that growth and just being exposed to a lot of other like-minded, really great musicians. The level of playing down there in Miami was incredibly high. So it was kind of sink or swim, but it was great because I was in school all day, but then I had a 6-night-a-week gig. So it was all about complete immersion, and I was learning, and I was playing in clubs till the wee hours. And so I look back on those years fun. Yeah. But then then it comes full circle. Then I get the gig in Danger, and I actually did kind of make it in a band, so to speak. So
yeah.
But so much of the things that have happened in my career have just been kind of, thank you for that. I love that. I love my Kiss shirt. I'll stand by that Kiss shirt. But the hair and the pose, that's a little questionable. There's plenty of incriminating pictures. Just Google Andy Timmons, Danger. You'll find all kinds of imitation spandex and whatnot.
Give him a show of that again, Brad.
Which one?
Come on, man.
Yeah, right there on the end.
There. Hey, oh man, they were so mad because I was smiling. It's like, man, come on, no, you got to be the tough guy. No, I'm a happy kid, man. Like,
yeah, everybody else has got that, like, come at me, bro.
Come at me, bro. And we're like, no, dude, that band was as vicious as we got was pizza and Diet Coke on the tour bus. There might have been a few bevies along the way, but fortunately, we were relatively not too toxic in the substance division. There may have been other vices, but that's about as
about it. Well, I have to ask, because I think you have a very unique record here. The band name was Danger, and
oh boy,
your two videos were what? Naughty Naughty and Bang Bang.
You picked up on that. You're the first one.
Like, wait a second. Nobody's ever brought that up before.
Nobody's really. You're the first guy. Yeah, we might have heard a little bit. And again, my disclaimer is like, well, I wasn't in the band when those songs were written, and I just play guitar. I joined the band after that first record had been recorded, and they got me on a couple of tracks because they remixed it before they put it out. And so fortunately, that was my major label debut, and that was kind of one of those lifetime goals. And man, I'm on a record. This is great.
So go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I'm not really. I don't really know why that happened, but it wasn't a bad thing. Both those videos got a lot of play on MTV, and we didn't get fired, at least not initially. Eventually, we got fired, but no, it was But we did hear a lot about that. You were not the first.
So you're
the first guy today. You're the first guy today.
Yeah, but the night is still young. The night is
yes, there could be more. Amy, you got anything to say about it? Mike, you got any?
So were you involved in the writing process for the follow-up? Screw It.
I was involved, yes.
Okay.
It was one of those things where Steve West and Bruno Ravel, the drummer and bassist respectively, they basically got the record deal based on they were a songwriting team. So they were really the leaders of the group. Usually you think about the guitar player and the lead singer. But it was kind of backwards in this band in that way, but they were really good at what they did. So for me, by then, by the second record, I was trying to get in there as much as I could, but it's kind of like George Harrison trying to crack the Lennon McCartney nut. It's like, they had their thing. So I was allowed a bit of input, I think very graciously by them. Looking back at it now, I wasn't scratching and clawing, but yeah, of course I wanted to be more involved. And I think overall, just by me then being officially in the band, the sound did change a bit. Good, bad, or ugly. it's what happened. But no, they're very fond memories, but a lot of not great memories, just about the business in general, kind of, seeing how the sausage is made, so to speak, at least of the music business industry as it existed then. Not that it's, completely different now, but it's completely different now. Yeah, but it was just this huge corporate thing, and I saw it for what it was, and I went, man, this isn't why I wanted to play guitar. Now, so of course, it was cool because we got the tour opening for Kiss and Alice Cooper and did all childhood fantasies. I never even drink. My first concert was Kiss in '76, the Destroyer tour.
Oh wow!
So literally 14 years later, we're on the road with those guys, and we just couldn't freaking believe it. But again, it was more about just ownership of your music and really having complete say in what's happening. So after we had our run and things were kind of dissolving a bit, and I came back to Texas, I went, I never want to do anything that I work so hard on that doesn't belong to me. And once you're signed to a label like that, that's usually the deal. So we had made a third record for Epic that never got released.
Oh wow! At
least until maybe 10 years later. It's called Cockroach. So it would have been the third record that came out right after Screw It. But everything was changing so rapidly with Seattle and rap and MTV, and the landscape had changed so much. And MTV was telling us, don't even bother making videos,
Yeah.
And so fair enough. But then for them to not release the record, but really made it impossible for us to get the rights to the record by wanting an exponential, amount of money. And so yeah, why would you work so hard on something and then it doesn't belong to you?
Never sees it,
that's okay.
So ever since then, tell my band members that forever.
Yeah, so I just came back to Texas, and through that whole period of time, I'd been recording on and off with my original trio with Mike Dane and Mitch Marine on drums, Dan Wojciechowski on some drums. And so by then I'd already kind of had a solo record recorded that became my first solo record called Ear Ecstasy. And so
my favorite album, by the way.
Oh man, well, I
was so happy to see that it's on. I could finally find it online.
Yeah, so it's back available now on all the streaming sites, and you can still buy hard copy. We did a remastered version that sounds infinitely better.
That's the one I was listening to.
It's basically unmastered because we finished the record. Oh, we got a Fluffins.
Sorry, guys.
Who's that? Dogs always win. If it's dogs or cats, just put them on. Just bring them in.
The appearance.
You can't outdo the dogs, man.
I have that Ear Ecstasy album signed by you.
Oh man,
from like, oh man, it had to been like 97 or something.
So that master that we just back then, the mastering process was a bit of a mystery. So we just sent it off to a random company in Nashville, and they mastered it to whatever they wanted to do to it, and just kind of hyped it high end and compressed, and it sounds okay. But so it came time I found all the original individual mixes on DATs. And I went, oh my God, this sounds so much better. It's because it was all analog. It was all recorded at 2-inch tape, right?
I've been jamming it all day. So
yeah, so we just basically like, just do whatever you have to do. Whatever you have to do just to get the tracks to be a cohesive, from track to track, at least volume wise. But man, just use the original mixes. I thought it sounded so much better. So
it does sound great.
The unmastered version is my preferred, but maybe there's some fans of the original, but who knows?
You have the right system. Yeah. See, if you're listening to it on your iPhone speakers.
Yeah. That's been one of my favorite compliments that some people have paid me because now we're all putting a bunch of videos on Instagram and stuff. And that's cool. So, man, your tone even sounds great on my phone. It's like, I'm going for that phone tone, man. If I can get it to sound good I spent all day just trying to get the phone tone right. Well, but hopefully if it sounds great in your room, it'll sound okay on the phone.
So you were on you were on a Bugs record too, right? Bugs Henderson record.
Oh yeah. In fact, I found a copy of it there's a cool record store on Stonebriar Mall now. And they sell new and used vinyl, which is it's unusual having a record store back in a mall.
ZT Records,
yeah, great shop,
yeah.
Really great shop.
Yeah.
And there was this whole rack of CDs in the back, and it was clear that whoever brought these CDs, it was like a very guitar centric.
I know who brought them.
Do you? Because it was Gary Moore stuff. So I bought 4 Bugs Henderson CDs. One of them was signed, and one of them was the one that I was on. That I have a copy probably somewhere in the attic.
410s? Was it
410 Strike Again? Yeah. And there was a couple. There was a live one, and but what else did I get that day? There was some other cool guitar CDs I got. I can't remember right now, but anyway, I was like, it's fun. I love buying music. It's like that used to be one of my all-time favorite things to do is just go to the music store and just see what they'd have or see what you discover in the used bin or bootleg stuff, whatever it might be. So I'm really happy that there's a shop now at the mall.
Yeah,
apparently they're doing really well. You would think the rent would be too high to.
Well, that's his second store. Shout out to Phil Ramirez. He actually started and still has a shop in the Allen Antique Mall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's where he first started, and then got the opportunity to open that one up there.
Hey, Bill,
is the Antique Mall right there on Central?
No, it's up Preston.
In Preston, okay.
Yeah, it's up Preston, pretty far up. Trying to remember what some of those.
I'm in McKinney, so it can't be too far.
Yeah, you're not too far from it, but it's like other side from the Star and up a little ways.
Welcome, Alan. Better late than never.
Who's that?
Alan? Alan Garrett. Shout out.
Hello, Alan Garrett. Damn it, I'm late. Is he a co-host or what?
So these are just
frequent listener.
Okay, right. Well, hello there.
People can actually join in live and
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, come hang. Ask me about Bang Bang.
Don't make me do it.
Somebody's got to be the second one.
I just dig all the shirts. Okay, go back to the picture. Okay, so you got, I think it's Marilyn Monroe. Yeah, then I got Kiss.
Yeah.
Ted's got Jolt Cola shirt. I can't tell what Bruno's got on. And then Raw, what Casey's got on. That was a great club out in Long Island. Big rock and roll club called Raw. Because back then it was all about you got to have the good cut up logo T-shirt or whatever. Woo! High fashion 1990.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. Obviously, the new album, Electric Truth.
Oh, there it is.
On Friday.
Look at that. Yes, it did. It dropped in real hard, apparently. Yeah.
Getting several copies.
Broke.
Tell me about Timestone Records. So
Well, Tim is actually pronounced Timstone.
Is it Timstone? Okay.
So that was just a silly phase that I was in. And it was back in the Danger days. It's like we would decide what your name would be if you were on the Flintstones. Because Cary Grant was Cary Granite. Just stupid. So I'd be Andrew Timstone. Yeah, and then Bruno Ravel is Bruno Gravel. Steve Weststone. I mean, just silly stuff. So that became my publishing company back then, just because I needed a name and it just stuck, So Timstone Records. It's just my own label that's actually stemming back from when I worked for a while with Steve Vai for his Favored Nations label, meaning that I was one of the first guys that he signed when he started the label in the late 90s. I went to sit in with G3. It was in Fort Worth, and it was Satriani and Vi and John Petrucci. And I went out that night. They invited me to come play. And that night, Steve was like, "Look, man, I'm starting a record label, and I'd love you to work with me." And he was the first guy to come along post Danger, my experience with the music business. He was the first guy to come along to offer a deal that made sense, in that it was literally a 50-50 split with the artist after whatever expenses for production and publicity and all that stuff. So I was like, well, this makes sense. And it was a licensing deal, so I still owned the record. And so the first record that he put out was called That Was Then, This Is Now, a best of my first 2 Ear Ecstasy 1 and 2 CDs. And then the third record was Resolution, which he put out again. And the fourth record would have been the ATB's version of Sgt. Pepper. And by then, he was like, look, I can put it out like we did it, but it would be much better for you if you formed your own label and then let me distribute it. So even though he would have benefited more from just keeping it the way it was, he said, look, just form your own label which is not that big a deal to do technically. But then I'll distribute it. And then from then it's like now with CD Baby, who are still able to distribute to brick and mortar, and with either TuneCore, CD Baby, or DistroKid, it's all the same, suppliers to all the online streaming sites. So, and that's what I've been doing ever since, just kind of my own little deal. It's lower budget, obviously, but again, I get to make the music how I want, when I want. And, I can't imagine a better situation. If I'm just real fortunate, there's still some people that care about it. So yeah, to get a new record out now, post the last 2 years, of course, is the timing's good to get something out and keep the wheels going somehow.
Again, everybody, the record is out.
Yeah. And it's a fun record too, because it's a little different than, so it's not the Andy Timmons band. This is a very, side project kind of thing. I met this great guitarist named Josh Smith, who's kind of more in the blues world, but he rocks, and he's got some jazz. He's got Danny Gatton and Robin Ford kind of influences, but grew up playing Stevie Ray, just great tone. And I got his number and just called him up one day and said, man, just want to tell you, I'm a big fan of your playing.
Somebody's at your door.
Yeah, I know, right? Somebody ordered some DoorDash. Wait a minute. I put it on mute. I really did. The heartbreak of the day was there was an Amazon delivery. Not the heartbreak of the day. It was the first world problem. But we used this little Nespresso coffee pods, the little automatic coffee maker in the morning.
Yeah, we have it.
We don't do crack or heroin, but man,
close enough.
You don't want to see us without our coffee. And so this package, well, thank God, Sweetie got the coffee, because we were down to 5 capsules, and I opened it up, and they were all decaf.
Oh no!
So
that is, I agree with you. That is a heartbreak of the day.
It is
a first world problem. That is a heartbreak.
It's a heart. You got to have your stuff.
No.
So fortunately, we did have a few sleeves, lurking in the back. So, but now, because I do like to like, this is a decaf now, and if I'm going to have something in the evening, a little treat. If I'm going to be chatting, I normally would have a half calf or a regular calf in the morning, but it's all decaf. It's pretty tasty. But in the morning, man, don't pass go straight to the coffee, man. How do we get to talking about this? Oh, because the somebody's at the front door.
The DoorDash, yep.
Yeah, the DoorDash.
If anyone ever asked that question, we have no idea where we go.
how we get off topic.
Well, I love that. That's my favorite type of interaction. Just let it be natural and no real. Mm-hmm. The agenda, of course, a little bit, because there's a new record, but people can check it out if they like, and I hope they like it. But the main crux of what I was saying was that Josh invited me out to a studio. He lives in LA. And, one of the things I loved about his playing was just the sound, and his records sounded great, but I always loved his band. It's kind of a funky, earthy kind of, but with some rock edge to it too. And so we just kind of arrived at an idea like, well, look, I'll write some songs, you write some songs, we'll collaborate. But I wanted him to produce, and I wanted him to pick the players. I wanted that pressure kind of off of me. Let me just come be me and play however I play, and knowing that it would be different than what I would do on my own. And that was the idea, because I'm still making records with my band. And I love it dearly, but it's so important to also be in other things collaboratively, just to have that experience, because it's going to bring different things out of you as a player, as an artist, whatever it might be. And I love that. So, and that's what the record is. Like, the first track is a real kind of funky. It's called EWF, and it's really a tribute to Al McKay, the great guitar player for Earth, Wind and Fire. Yeah, and it's
that's really cool.
It's a thing where it's a riff that I've always imitated.
He's gonna give us a play.
So the cool thing about that I love about the riff. I don't know if you can hear that too well.
Yeah, can hear it great.
Yeah, it's coming across good.
Crank it up though. We're not.
Yeah, it seemed a little low in my mix, but so the riff that I wrote is clean it up. And it's kind of imitating Shining Star, but I'd never learned Shining Star. It was just this mysterious, it was 2 guitars kind of playing different stuff. And what a cool sound. So that's me imitating 2 guitar players by playing 2 notes at once. That's awesome. But so I later, like just a few weeks ago, found an Al McKay video on YouTube. There used to be this lesson series called Star Licks, or
that's awesome.
One of those things. So he's demonstrating, here's how I did it. And he plays one part, and then he plays the other. So it's literally like a boogie woogie piano part. So the one part is simple. Then over that, and that's why I play. You got to swing a little bit. Anyway, my loving tribute. And so when the band kicks in, it's funky right from the downbeat. It's Travis Carlton on bass. It's Larry Carlton's son, and who just happens to be an incredible bass player. Lamar Carter on drums, just incredible pocket, and a guy named Darren Johnson on keyboards. I played with Miles Davis for a while. So
I saw that. Wow.
These are guys that have played with some heavy cats. So, and then having Josh Smith, this guy that I have a lot of respect for, producing on the other side of the glass, like I'm in the hot seat, man, you know. And so that first track, the reason I put it first, because it's because it's completely live. It's just exactly how the four of us played together in one take. Boom, that's it. You know, I think Lamar added some cowbell.
So
you're gonna want that cowbell. You're gonna want that.
So were you feeling the pressure? You had to bring it, or?
Well, yeah, you know, it's funny because that's every day though for me. I mean, there's always that. There's a bit of nervousness, there's a bit of anxiety, but I think that's the nature of any artist that wants to, you know, you've only got today. You want to at least be as good as you were yesterday and hopefully better. So I'm always kind of in that position to want to, I don't want to let myself down. I don't want to let the band down. Or if you're in front of a crowd, you know, you're just, now is all you got. You can't change yesterday. We don't know about tomorrow. Kind of a trite thing to say, but it's really true. And I think that, you know, every moment that I'm in like that, now that may be a little added pressure because, yeah, I know the ears in the room and on the other side of the glass. Even the engineer plays drums for Scott Henderson, who's like one of the greatest guitar players in the world. He's the one, you know, getting the sound. So there's some ears in this room. And so, but that's really, I couldn't imagine a better situation to be in. And so either live with the band or the next, there was about a half a day of overdubs before, it was right before the NAMM show in 2020. So we had 2.5 days to record. And so either I was playing live with the band, or if I needed to retake something, I'd be standing right next to Josh. So this is a good position to be in, right? So we were going to finish in March. I was going to fly back out in March 2020. Something happened in March 2020. What was that?
Yeah.
You guys happen to remember?
Let's not talk about that.
Was there something I can't quite? I drank a Corona. No, that's not it. That's horrible. So anyway, yeah, nobody went anywhere. And so I ended up finishing just a couple more tracks here at my studio, and then they would mix it and send me mixes. And so it was done probably almost a year ago. And then just once you start trying to set the record up and then finding the right window, and long story short, but it's kind of handy to have something coming out now, just, you know, something new for my fans or whoever might want to hear that kind of music. And so I can continue working on the other projects that I've got with my band and another solo record that I've written in the last couple of years. So
we were all really fortunate. All three of us saw you at was Gas Monkey. My band opened up for Paul Gilbert.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh man. What was the name of the band?
My band's Intercore.
I must have heard you, man. I remember there being some good bands that night. So
it was only us. We're the only other band. So it had to be.
When I say bands, I mean band. I'm making shit up right now.
But you got up and did the sound. I remember you did sound check, and you guys got up and did some Beatles songs. And
we were gonna do We Can Work It Out that night. So I think there's video on the YouTubes.
Oh man,
out there of that. Yeah.
I know that the three of us, Mike and I and you, took a picture that night, and I tried to find it, and but I'm coming up short. But I'm sure it's on Facebook somewhere.
Pick it up. Yeah,
it was great. It's a great picture of all three of us. We all look good.
Oh, nice. Okay, well,
if I could find my phone, I would do it. I don't remember.
Yeah.
There it is.
We'll just take a picture now.
There you go.
We probably have much better lighting now, you know.
Yeah.
than whatever we were dealing with. Yeah.
So we got a couple of Mikey. You want to throw out some of these questions?
Yeah. Bang bang, naughty naughty, danger danger. What you got?
From the peoples out there in
the peeps, my
the
peeps.
Peoples out there in Radio Land. Yeah,
I love marshmallow peeps. Only the yellow ones though. I don't need like pumpkin peeps and chocolate peeps. Sorry, man. I draw the line.
No one's asking any questions, Brad.
I'm seeing it, Mike.
They're just saying that he's awesome.
Okay, well, Jeremy did ask, are you going to put out another Andy Timmons band?
Yes, album? We have. There's a bunch of tunes partially recorded. We have a lot of things to finish. But yes, we're definitely Mike Dane and I have lots of work to do. So lots of really cool tunes kind of waiting to be again, the last couple of years have been so weird. But that's my excuse for now anyway.
You got any
but yes, the short answer is yes.
Cool.
For sure, yeah.
Any chance or opportunity to release something on vinyl?
You know what? So this Electric Truth record will be the first piece of vinyl out of all my solo records. But it won't be till January because of the backlog.
Okay.
Thanks, Adele. She can't be blamed for all this, but people are
they could put that all on her.
She sold all the vinyl. Damn. and rightfully so. So yeah, we'll finally get vinyl. And I want to release all the stuff on vinyl. You know, why not? It's just we'll get there. Absolutely. But yeah, it's nice to see vinyl making such a huge comeback.
Oh, for sure.
I finally have a really good system in my office now. I spent a lot of vinyl. There's a buddy of mine that's been very generous, who's an audiophile. There's a huge collection. For a while there was just sending me records every week. I'd get this package like, oh man, Elvis Costello, this is great, or man, Chopin, awesome. You know, there was just this great variety. They said, oh, you got to have this, this deluxe super hi-fi pressing or whatever. So I've been really blessed. I've got a few, I've got a huge record collection from my youth, but they're all in horrible shape. I did not take care. Hey, is that the picture?
The picture.
Hey, I look like Bigfoot. I'm very blurry. Maybe that's the problem. Bigfoot's just blurry.
There you go.
Thank you, Mitch Hedberg, for
So Alan had another question, or Alan Garrett had a question for you. As an artist, what's your thoughts on selling streaming versus actual physical hard copies?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing even considering selling. I mean, it's to the point where people don't really have to buy your record if they don't want to, whether they're, they listen to Spotify or Apple. And I think, I knew that things had changed when Napster came out, whatever year that was. And my father,
early 90s, yeah.
Yeah, so 90s, not early though, maybe late, mid.
Might have been mid.
Chime in. Can we do a social media shout out like Cash Cab? I've been hooked on Cash Cab lately. I'm sad to say. That's where we're at. When Jeopardy's over, Cash Cab. I need my challenging trivia question.
It originally launched June 1st, 1999.
See, that's what I thought. Okay,
I didn't think it was that late in the 90s, but yeah, it was 99.
So my father-in-law, who's very tech, we call him Mr. Inspector Gadget. He's always got the latest technology. And so, this Snapster thing, you got to check it out, You can get any music. And I go to his house and I type my name in, and there was my whole life, not just any record I'd recorded all kinds of bootlegs and all, which as a collector, great. But I also realized, you just kind of saw, okay, all my stuff is free from now on. There's no way they're going to put the kibosh on that. And, in varying degrees, it's not been as bad as we might've thought. Cause from there it's YouTube. And then it's, there's all these avenues now that I have to honestly say that it's done nothing but help my career. It may have changed the way that people have the opportunity to support me. Yeah. Right. But there's the gigs and there's other merch and all that. And there's still a lot of people that do buy the music. There's, I'm still selling CDs. So I don't see any of it as a negative. This is the one guy that bought one. Thank you. You are awesome.
Oh, wait.
I think I drove it to your house personally. Put it in your mail. What?
Bam.
Man, I went double plywood here in Dallas.
Right?
Or is that paper? I forget. Paper.
If you were wondering who that guy was, that was me.
Thank you. Well, and yeah, the pre-sale, of course, you most artists these days, you do a signed version and that jolts some sales. And I'm the same. I'll buy a signed anything for my favorite artists. I'm always, in fact, I got two. Anyway, I got two signed things in the mail yesterday from a certain Beatle, right? So, I'm a sucker for that stuff. I love it. Anyway, so it's to me, it's all good. How if it's to the point where, you know, as long as they have the access and the will to listen, I think we're all pretty happy about that. Of course, we have to, at the end of the day, figure out ways of monetizing. I got to keep these lights on, right? Somehow.
Yeah.
So, I don't, and I don't know how I've done it, but I've continued to still keep going. And again, just blessed to have somewhat of a fan base that seems to keep growing.
Looks like you'd be pretty all right if the world ended. You'd have some pretty pricey gear behind you back there.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, being a kid, relatively
boat anchors,
a relatively poor kid. I was always just lucky to have a guitar, and I worked hard to get everything I have. But now that I've been doing it for, I'll be 59 and in July, so however many years since I'm 13. So over the years, I've been able to hold on to some gear that I'm really I know how fortunate I am to have it.
What's your favorite gear? What's your
the Mesa Boogie Lone Star is my favorite amp, but I've got a signature guitar that Ibanez makes me, which again, just never would have thought in a million years. But I've a few vintage guitars that are really nice and old. There's a white 65 Strat that I played in a couple of videos recently. A 68 Telly, a 60 Strat with a hardtail that I used on several songs on the last Andy Timmons band record called "Theme from a Perfect World."
Is that a roasted neck?
This is a roasted. Yeah, this is the current model that's just come out in the premium line. It's but yes, like a roasted maple neck, so it kind of feels like a vintagey aged kind of thing. Well, here's the original.
Pretty cool.
This is my original signature guitar. This is the prototype from 1994. So we call it pre-Napster. But this is relics from I've been playing. I've been
double neck just like that.
Hey, there you go. Woo! Hello.
The new Steve Vai album there.
I was gonna say, dude, have you seen that video?
I saw it yesterday.
Of that Hydra guitar.
Yeah.
Okay, so I released a video that same day, and I sent Steve an email. So for people that don't know, I play guitar. I play one guitar. So Steve Vai, he's got this guitar with 3 necks and then different sets of drone strings, and he's playing it all at the same. It's the choreography and the musicality. Crazy. It's freaking next level. He's out-vied Steve Vai is what he's done. So I sent him an email, and and the subject is fuckity fuck. Can I say that? Like,
yeah, you can.
You're allowed.
Fuck. It's like, remind me never to release a video the same day. But he had very
doesn't know that's the Devil's guitar player, Steve Vai.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah. That's right, Jack Butler. No, so he said very, very kind things about my video. He probably felt bad. No, but he's been an incredible supporter of mine and very, very positive. He's an incredible human being. Aside from the musical brain, there's also a highly intelligent but very, empathetic, cool person. Very happy that he talks to me. It's just, still answers my emails. We're doing okay.
That's awesome.
Even when you subject line fuckity fuck.
Even fuck. You want to see the nature of Steve Vai? If you type in Steve Vai Andy Timmons on YouTube, one of the last times that he played in Dallas was at the Bomb Factory, and it was a big production that night. So because he has invited me to play with him many times on stage, and we're both longtime Ibanez guys, and so this night there was too much going on. Hey, I can't, we can't play tonight, but come to the show and I'll see you after the show. And my wife is there, my friend Sylvia that I mentioned earlier, where the 3 of us are there, and it's been a long show, about 2.5 hours, and so it seems like it's the last song. So the girls are off to the restroom to freshen up because we know we're going to go say hi to Steve after the show. Well, as they've gone away, my wife hands me the water, says, "Hold this till I get back." Well, here comes Steve with a wireless into the crowd, right? So he's kind of strolling through, like just being the big rock star, but then you see it on video. He looks down my aisle. Some people had left next to me, and he sees me, and he instantly pulls off his guitar and hands it to me. So you got to watch the video because it's incredible. Because there's not a moment of thought that happens. He's playing, and he sees me. He's like, he had no idea where I was because I was going to be there, but he didn't know what seat I'm in. This was totally unplanned. So he has this look on his face. He just instantly takes his guitar up and just wants me to play. I mean, that's a big heart. That's such a selfless thing to do. And so you see in the video, he tries to hand me his pick, but I already had a pick. It's like, because damn it, I'm out there the whole night going, I want to play, you know, and you don't never leave home without a pick, man. You just never know when Steve Vai's going to come hand you that guitar. Well, it freaking happened. I couldn't believe, you know. Anyway, these are things the universe does to me sometimes. I have no idea how it happens, but anyway. The way that evening went, yeah. But
oh yeah, we're gonna have to find that video for sure.
Yeah, it's a good one. Check it out. And so you also see in the video at one point I'm just facing him and I'm like doing whammy bar stuff. I'm doing Steve Vai impressions in front of Steve Vai, and he's playing. He goes turn around, and I turn around and like everybody's on their seats and everybody's got their phone. There's like a sea of phones behind me. But it's the one guy that uploaded the video that was right there and got Steve's perspective, and it's really, really sweet. But again, a testament to the big heart of Steve, you know. And check out that new video it's called "The Teeth of the Hydra." Yeah, and it's absolutely stunning. And even in the email to me, he says, "Yeah, I'm not really sure how I did it. Just I had to think of it one bar at a time, because it's just an insane amount of choreography to get this whole thing together, right?" But that's his creative mind, and you have to think at first. You have to think about, oh, what if I could do this, you know? Yeah. And sometimes that's all it takes to just give you that one little spark of possibility, you know? So
yeah, that is.
Don't limit yourself, you know. Think out. Yeah, that's about as outside of the box as you can get. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. I need to hear that full album. I haven't heard the whole thing yet.
I haven't either, but what I've heard, I really like. Yeah.
Yeah.
More jammy jams.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just these are just punctuation noodles.
What's your newest noodle that you haven't done anything?
Well, it's a song I'm writing for Ukraine.
Okay, cool.
And I've been playing it on this guitar a lot because I got a little bit of float on this tremolo. I haven't used a Floyd Rose in years, but occasionally I'll set up my tremolo, which is more like the Fender style, with a little bit of, you know, and pull up a little bit, so that gives a nice. Just enough pitch fluctuation. Using a volume pedal to get a little bit of a swell into the nose. I haven't practiced it yet. Work in progress, you know.
Wow,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
you know, I could sit and watch you play for hours. You know?
Well, you just did.
You're gonna have that opportunity on April 15th, right?
But yeah, we're gonna do, since the band that I recorded the Electric Truth record they're all in LA. To play this music, I've kind of formed a band of other local players, not my usual trio, that are going to do the record with me April 15th at the Guitar Sanctuary, which is it's a great music shop here in McKinney, and that has like a 300-seat venue attached to the shop. So it's going to be Sean McCurley on drums, Braylon Lacey on bass, the great Bobby Sparks from Snarky Puppy on B3, Tim Gilpin on keys, my good buddy Mike Medina on percussion, additional guitar, and Corey Pertil, who sings on a couple of tracks on the record. It's mostly instrumental, but there's a couple of vocal tunes. So we're going to do the whole record, but then we've got some pretty interesting cover tunes that we're going to play after that. It's just some fun 70s R&B and some unusual pieces. Yeah. So come out. I know I think the tables are sold out, but there's still some general admissions left. So they can go to the guitarsanctuary.com and then click on shows and you can find tickets there.
Very cool.
Yeah, I hope you guys can make it.
You got dates beyond that, or you got a tour lined up?
A little smattering. So I haven't. I've been still a little leery booking tours. I tend to mainly play in Southeast Asia and Europe. So things have been so tentative since Corona and all that, and all the variants. But I am going to the UK for some dates in the end of June. There's a great online YouTube channel called the That Pedal Show. And it's these guys that just, talk about gear. And so they're dear friends of mine, Daniel Steinhardt and Mick Taylor in England. And so they have a band. They're bringing me over to be their special guest for a few shows. And then I do a guitar camp in Italy right after that with Frank Gambale, the great fusion guitar player, and Tom Quayle. And then I've got a camp with Paul Gilbert at the end of July out in Pomona, California. You can find all these dates on my website at andytimmons.com. So yeah, Paul Gilbert and I have also done some camps together. Who's that?
Showing that scrolling at the bottom.
Oh, you're scrolling. Hello, andytimmons.com. There we go. That's point two.
Check
me,
it out.
dig me. Yeah, more me. Anyway, so no official tours, but just starting to leave home a little bit, which is actually I haven't done hardly any of that. I did 2 camps with my friend Andy Wood just outside of Knoxville in August of 2020 and August of 2021. But that's about as much as I've done, except for a couple of promo things here and there. But that was the weird thing for all the traveling people, musicians we're more talking about right now, but none of us had been home that long, ever, like since my career started, whenever that was, like, because you're always out. It's in some way, shape, or form. But boy, I enjoy being home. So I got real proactive, and I saw a friend of mine from Bowling for Soup, Jarrett Reddick, was doing these on stage, online gigs on Stage It. He was booking these. Come see me, type in this address or whatever. And I thought, I need to learn how to do that because I don't have any gigs. And so I got a hold of Jared on Facebook, and he set me up with the platform's called Stage It. So the funny thing is that I saw on the thing he was advertising at 2 p.m. US, 8 p.m. UK. I'm like, oh, wow, okay, he's doing 2 shows on Saturday. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 2 shows every Saturday. Well, he was doing 1 show, and that was just the time difference.
That was the time difference from
all these things in the UK and the US. But because I was, misreading, or I wouldn't call myself an idiot, but in the moment, it was to my benefit, because then I just had this work ethic of like, I'm going to do 2 shows every Saturday. I'll make them different shows. And so, a lot of the same people would come to each show, even with the time difference. There was people tuning in, and still are, from Australia and Japan, all over the world, and South America. So I did 150 gigs in that 2 years, which was just insane. And people couldn't figure out how I was doing it. But again, it was great to have a platform to be able to play and reach people, and they were supportive of me. So that literally,
we actually had Jared on here. So if
anybody
wants to hear Jared talk, you can go back and watch that episode.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. So I have him to thank for getting me, started and being open about, here's how I do it, and they'll help you and introduce me to the right people. And so I know I was, it was
like I need to hit up Jarrett.
What's that?
Sounds like I need to hit up Jarrett.
Yeah, hit him up. And tell him I said, hey man, you want to?
He just played in Deep Ellum a few weeks ago.
Oh, he did.
Well, yeah, just like this solo thing.
I need to go hang now that we're getting out, man, because
he's got a country album out.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah.
All right. How about that? Is badass.
Came out about a month or so ago.
Bowling for Soup and the Andy Timmons band did a show together at the Curtain Club, and it's been freaking, I don't even remember what year it was. Had to be in maybe the 90s or 2000s, depending on how long they've been together. But it was pretty early on in their career, I think. But yeah, love those guys.
One of those plaques at the Curtain Club up there.
What's that?
One of the plaques they used to have at the
Curtain Club. The different cards. I don't think we made the plaques.
Yeah, Mike pointing at his.
We had some. Sorry.
We have a couple in our apartment because Mike, he
confiscated them.
Oh.
Nice. Well, they closed down. So.
Well, they were his band, so it
fair enough. All right, cool.
Band, band.
They don't exist anymore. I also have the men's bathroom mirror, so.
Nice. These are good things to have, I think. Oh, the stories that mirror could tell.
Right?
So if mirrors could talk.
Ooh, that would be a cool like Twilight Zone episode where the mirror, like all the different things it's seen, like the mirror with a memory. Let's write that.
There you
Yeah.
go.
The mirror with the memory.
I think there's a lot that gets spun off of that.
Oh.
Anyway,
That's awesome. No, I think there's a song idea there for sure.
there's something there. Come on,
Right.
let's collaborate. Let's work
Come
this
on,
out.
Mikey. You guys get this going.
Word for a third. Come on, man.
I'm in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
So I know you got TV time coming up.
Yes. Well, yeah. I don't want to cut too much into Jeopardy time because this
No,
is.
I gotta
There was
respect
one
that.
other thing. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up. What
Yeah.
is the guitar experience?
Oh, so that's my online. I have a yeah. Well, look. Oh, yeah. Andy in red. I haven't seen the red version. That's nice. It's basically a guitar lesson site, but so I'm going through month by month. I'm doing a song of the month where I basically show you exactly how to play all these tunes that I've recorded over all of my entire career. So there's a video of me playing the song, and then I have a friend in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, that transcribes everything note for note. He does amazing work. So he'll send me these transcriptions, and I'll have like 5
You're like,
corrections.
I was playing that.
What's that?
You were like, I was playing that.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I can read it, but it's a lot to read. So there's a program called Guitar Pro, and he uploads the transcription into that, and it plays my guitar part, but through the computer. It's like this funky little goofy sound, but it helps me know, okay, I can hear and see that note's not correct or the rhythm's wrong. But the guy does such a great job. I have very little editing to do. And so it's available for people to read in either notation or tab or the Guitar Pro format. But then I sit for like an hour and a half, 2 hours on camera and literally show every phrase and just talk about the recording and the gear that I was using and the techniques involved. And so it's a cool way to learn. And so because with each phrase, there's always a technique or something that, because it's not just about learning that lick, it's about what that lick can also show you further down the road when you're creating your own music, or even for myself, I'm by virtue of me having to kind of explain something I might have improvised or did just because I've just done it naturally over the years. I was like, I gotta tell whoever's watching me what's going on here. And it kind of helps me look at things and go, oh crap, man, if I did more of that and extrapolate that in different ways, so I'm teaching myself in real time as well as the people watching, and the response has been great. So people can, sign up for a month or a year or whatever, and get, different degrees of access to the site. But there's a lot of material on there. I've been doing quite a bit since I think we started in 2017. So been going for a while now.
Awesome. I think it's really cool.
Awesome.
I had to make sure that got brought up because it's really cool.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Sometimes I'm horrible at self-promotion, but yes, plug away. Yeah, check out the new record.
Yeah, so we want to be respectful of your time, man. You really do.
No, I appreciate
you
guys hanging, man. It's always good to hang out, and especially with local peeps.
There you go. Had a great time. And
thank you. Likewise, we'll do it again.
15th Guitar Sanctuary in McKinney.
Yeah. And then the Dallas Guitar Show, when we're playing on the Saturday. But over that weekend, I know John Five's coming to town, Paul Gilbert, we're playing, Philip Sayce. Just go to Dallas International Guitar Festival website. And so we're playing on the Saturday. Usually we play Sunday, but the Andy Timmons Band will play on the Saturday this year, which I think is the last day of May, perhaps.
Yeah, I was going to say it's normally back into May, isn't it? No,
It's exactly.
Holiday.
So,
yeah. Okay.
We missed a couple over COVID, but I've played the guitar show almost every year since 80.
Yeah,
I've seen or something. It's been
a lot of
the guest that wouldn't leave. We've had enough of you. How can we miss you when you won't go away? Kind of thing.
It's always awesome seeing you there.
Well, thank you. So hopefully we'll see you on the Saturday that day, man. Come out and throw stuff at me.
It's very likely. We'll typically do go.
Married.
Yes.
Freshly what now?
Freshly married.
Oh man, congrats, guys! Fantastic.
Married, May 14th.
I wish you many, many years of marital bliss. So I've been married 25 now, but so there's a song. Let me tie it in with the record here. There's a song called "Grace" on the Electric Truth record. It's a very Hendrixy sounding tune. So the song idea came from, I went to one of those Jimi Hendrix Experience tours where they have all the different guitar players playing Hendrix music. But on bass, for part of the show was Billy Cox. I knew Billy Cox was going to be there. Of course, he was the bass player in the Band of Gypsies in the last version of the Jimi Hendrix Experience right up till when Jimmy died. But they were Army buddies and had played together in Tennessee back in the day. So I got to the show early, and Billy Cox and his wife were hanging out at the merch booth, like he was signing stuff, and and just hanging. So I got a chance to really hang out with Billy and his wife, Brenda. I ended up chatting more with her than I did Billy. He's a really sweet couple. And at some point it came up in the conversation that they'd been married over 50 years. Wow. And I, of course, wow, so I have a tendency to, when I find, an older couple that has been together for so long, I like to, even though I know there's no real answer, but I like to jokingly say, okay, well, what's the secret? Yeah. When I asked my wife's grandmother, who passed away like within a year after we were married, but I asked her name was Rosie. So Rosie, what's the secret? And she goes, I let him do what he wants. Lovely old Jewish woman. I let him do what he wants. But so now I'm talking with Billy and I'm talking with Brenda, and I said, Brenda, what's the secret? She goes, grace. And just kind of gave me this look like grace. And I knew, we're all human, man. Nobody's perfect. So I went home that night and that riff just came because
oh, it's beautiful.
Little Hendrixy vibe. And I so when we finished the recording, even before the record was released, so about a year ago, I emailed it to Billy and Brenda, and they really loved it and received it with the intention that I had written and recorded it. And it was a very sweet thing for me to be able to give that to them as my memory of our meeting. They were just the sweetest people. And so that's a very fond track for me on the record.
It's awesome. It's interesting that you said that, because that was the one song that stood out to me today. When
wow, right on.
Listening, I was like, man, that's a really good one.
Good stood out, or I think you need to.
It stood out to me. I don't know. It hit me in the feels.
All right, well, I appreciate that. Yeah, well, thank you. That was for Billy and Brenda. Grace, I'll never forget that look she gave me. Yeah, so I wish you guys many years of grace and understanding and compromise and lots of love. So. And
what is your secret to long, happy marriage?
Well, I let her do what she wants. No. I let her do what she wants. Well, it's the same. It's really, just understanding your partner and communicating, and we weren't always the best at it. We didn't have any fights for God, like the first 15 seemingly years, maybe that was a bad thing, but no, we've been through a lot together, but I think stronger than ever. So she's a very understanding, patient person, and I think I am too, to a large degree. So it's just mutual respect and just always trying to do the best for your mate, and realizing that I'm not perfect and she's not perfect, and we need to forgive. We need to the best, to the extent that we have the capabilities of doing.
That's great advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we can. I mean, we can do it. You guys can do it. Yeah, we're beating the odds. We're good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Andy, thanks again for your time.
Thank you guys very much, man. Enjoy the hang. And
absolutely.
Everybody follow Andy on andytimmons.com. Make sure you get over there and catch some shows. He's phenomenal. You will not forget, and you will not forget it.
I will try my best. Whatever day that is, I'm going to try real hard. That'll be all right.
All right. We appreciate it so much. And for everybody that tuned in, everybody that interacted, asked questions, thank you guys so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in.
Please subscribe to the channel.
Yes, subscribe to YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Spread the word. We much appreciate that. And tuning out for tonight, I guess. This is Brian.
I'm Amy.
This is Mikey B.
And what's the pup's name?
I've got 4 of them. We could be here for a while.
Right.
That one barking is Ellie.
I was going to say Ellen Barkin. There you go. It just wrote itself.
Actually, Eleanor Rigby is her real name. So.
Oh, I love it.
She's singing backing vocals.
What was that song we were going to write? Oh yeah, the
mirror.
The mirror with the
mirror
memory.
remembers. Yeah, the mirror remembers.
Memory of the mirror.
We can't even say mirror.
Work in progress.
We wrote a tongue twister anyway, you know.
Right.
The mirror.
That's what it is. The problem is,
but it's the same backwards. So there's that. No backwards masking necessary.
Yeah.
None required.
Maybe that is the trick.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, there's a clever twist, really. It's a clever twist.
A mirror is backwards, so it makes sense.
Wait a minute, but it's just a reflection of the times, man. It's just
so you can hear that in the music.
Yeah. There's one of my favorite Elvis Costello songs. It's called "The Deep Dark Truthful Mirror." It's like, was one day you're gonna have to see the deep dark truthful mirror. You might see some things you'd rather not care to see. So deep, man. It's so deep. It's so true. Here's looking at us at the next Gas Monkey gig or wherever I see you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, you'll see us again for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
sounds good. Sounds great.
Absolutely.
All right, we're gonna.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks again, Andy. Have a great evening.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.